Don't ever underestimate the heart of a champion.
Welcome. This is the Sports Trapp Podcast. My name is John Trapp. And as always, man of the hour, man behind the master plan, ones and twos, Mr. Khoa. How you doing, sir?
What up?
Hey, Sam, stand up. Welcome, everyone. If you've seen our podcast before, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. And if you're new to the channel, hey, man, throw a subscribe button, hit a like, and share and you know, throw some love to your boys. All right. Well, this is H-Town People's Podcast. We show love to all H-Town teams.
I like that.
Hey, man, People's Podcast.
People's Podcast.
Yeah, I grew up watching a little bit of The Rock, you know, People's Champ, so got to throw that.
The greatest.
Hey. Got to say it now, huh?
The greatest.
Boys all over the movies. So, yeah, man, where we show love to Houston-based teams, little Texas flair, little H-Town flavor, baby. Let's do it. All right? So today, we got a little talk of the Pocket Rockets, a.k.a. Houston Rockets.
Pocket Rocket. I hadn't heard of that.
Man.
Pocket Rockets. Is that a thing?
I like that, man. I like Rock'em Sock'em Rockets.
Oh, that's the whole small ball talk, huh?
Yeah. So they got into a little trade that we're
Make us sound like we're midgets, dude.
Hey, tallest man, 6'6", and that.
I wish I was 6'6". Oh, well, that's small now, huh?
So yeah,
I feel
man.
you, PJ.
Speaking of NBA, we got to get a little bit of the social topic of Kobe Bryant once again in the news for Gayle King and Lisa Leslie. Interview kind of went left. Snoop Dogg got a little bit of it, little Boosie. But you know what? That's an interesting topic I want to get into.
Yeah.
Of course, we got to speak about the Houston Astros. Let's do a little bit of Houston Astros. Been in a little.
I don't know. We're getting depressing this.
Every
this
day
podcast.
there's something new, so I want to touch a little bit of something.
Let's talk about some happy things.
Hey, I tell you what's been bomb so far. I don't know if that's socially correct anymore, but hey, throwing bombs was the Houston Roughnecks.
That's
XFL.
right,
man. That was. I tell you what, we had the best game of the season.
The best looking Houston team so far, right now, currently standing.
Hey, of course, we gotta talk about a little bit of the Super Bowl. Texans. Hey, UFC was in town, so
that's right. UFC 247 was in Houston this past weekend.
So yeah, man. Usually, again, if you've been a loyal listener, loyal presence on our show, I want to give a shout out to C-Rod, Christopher Rodriguez. He's usually a co-host of the show. He's out right now, but I want to show him some love with his little nickname that he likes to say is Oso Malo.
Oh, was that mean Bad Bear?
Yeah, so we got this special beer that I like to introduce from 11 Below Brewery Company called Oso Bueno, because he likes to call himself Oso Malo.
Oso Malo.
He has a really good heart, man. So showing love to my boy Oso
That's throwback,
Bueno.
man. What episode was that?
I don't know. Oh,
that'd be like episode
11. I got the
Was
beer
it?
for, yeah, episode 11.
Was it really?
Yeah, episode 31. People, we're doing it big, baby, every day, getting better and better.
I felt like it was earlier than that, but it could be. It could be episode 11.
I'm pretty sure it's episode 11. You want? Let's look it up right now. I'm just joking.
No. You run out of tape,
Chris. For you, baby. Oso Bueno.
Cheers. Oh yeah,
good stuff. Let's get some props to the one, the only Pocket Rocket, aka Houston Rockets, taking them to the house, taking the Boston Celtics behind the shed with that small ball presence. We believe the game was 116-105. Houston Rockets take them down. And Harden with the 42 piece, and Westbrook with the 36. Oh, that small ball was working tonight.
I like it.
So, one thing about the Houston Rockets, and they get a lot of flack. Yes, with Capella, I think that at the end of the day, it just didn't work. So we had to go on and see at the trade deadline, who do we get?
Rocco for Robert Covington.
Robert Covington. Supposedly he had already played with us in our D League or G League now.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, so we had him before. So Robert Covington comes over from the Minnesota Timberwolves, was it?
Mm-hmm.
And essentially it was Robert Covington for Clint Capella. Why do you think this works and Capella didn't?
To me, I think the sole reason why Capella didn't work was just that he wasn't enough of a big man presence inside. And he showed signs that he at times that when it was working, when he was his most aggressive, and I think that's when we were at our best and our most complete. But I think what I got frustrated so much with watching Capella was that he was getting bodied by people that were smaller than him, or even if they were bigger, but you knew it was someone like Capella's size and his athleticism. He's still young. Like, dude, you have the ability to really be that presence inside, and when he can't establish that inside, we have to rely on the outside game. And so I think that it goes to waste. And I think that, to me, that's why it was frustrating watching him play.
Now, I appreciate everything he did for us, and I think that he does have game. He has talent. And he had this point where he was getting better consistently every year. Even from the point that when we drafted him, we were like, a Swedish kid. First of all, when's the last time you seen a Swedish white dude ball out? And then he comes in and it's like, oh, he's not white. That's the first thing I thought.
Well, his name's Clint, so I was like, well, yeah.
Right. So, race aside, and not to be, I'm of course being facetious here, but at the same time, he only got to a point where he was so good, but when bodies got to him, when it like S hit the fan, it was just he didn't have that next step to take us over to the wall, or say, to me, you saw him getting better under James Harden, but then they got to a point where I think he didn't get any better. And with this team, when we're going all in, it was like, all right, bro, if you're gonna call out the Warriors, if you're gonna, if we're gonna be a better team, you have to step up night in and night out. And it got to the point where, okay, if you're gonna clog up the lane and you're not doing anything, you got to be able to shoot a three. Yeah, you got to space the floor.
Yeah.
And you know what?
And that's not unheard of nowadays. You got centers shooting threes.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Pretty much on damn near half the teams.
And Robert Covington, he's apparently, man, he's the guy. He's the guy that can be a pseudo big man, but at the same time hit a three if you need him to.
Yeah.
And tonight, in fact, showed that. 4 blocks, hit a couple threes, and that in itself on a defensive end, clogging the lane, and an offensive end spaces everybody out. Like I just repeated. 42 from James Harden, 36 from Russell Westbrook.
Not to mention he had 3 steals and 3 assists. I was like, he was all over. 7 rebounds. So I was like,
I wonder how tall he is. I'm guessing he's like 6'9", 6'10".
6'7".
6'7". He plays big.
Yeah,
he plays huge. And
that's exactly what I wanted from Clint. And it's like, I can't help but think, this is of course being on like the glorifying side. It's like I want the Shaq, and I want
right.
And even if like you don't have the physique like Shaq did and at his most dominant, like this goes back to that was what happened in my eyes to Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard in his prime when he was playing for the Magic was a beast,
right?
Especially on the inside, and how big he's. One of the most physically fit specimen on the court. But I felt like when he came to Houston, for whatever reason, he lost that presence. And I felt like the same thing happened to him, although it was, later in his career, it happened to Clint. But I don't know what it was with Clint. I don't know if it was like like a mental thing, or if he just felt that he couldn't be big enough. Like, you know, I wanted the Shaq, but at the very least, like someone like a Dennis Rodman, who I've always loved how much he fought for the rebound. Like, he was never the biggest guy, but he was physical,
right?
And he made his presence known.
Right.
Like, if he was going to be there for one thing,
that's a good point.
You know what I mean? If he was going to be there for one thing, to just get the fucking rebound every single possession, he was going to do that. He was going to fight for it. And I wanted that from Clint. I really did.
So there's a couple things I wanted to respond. First of all, you made a great point when it came down to Dwight Howard. At some point in Dwight Howard's career, the big man being the go-to guy has died.
He was Superman.
It's no longer somebody, because I remember us even going like, who's the best big man in the league? And everybody would say it was Dwight Howard, but he wasn't necessarily a good big man in comparison to the Shaqs of yesteryear, the Tim Duncans and all that made their money off the block. But the thing was, it wasn't necessarily that he was a bad basketball player in the block. It was just the game has evolved to the point where even the big men can dribble. Even the big man can shake and bake, hit a three, and do all that stuff that Dwight Howard, his skill set isn't needed in the NBA anymore. It's like, it's almost dinosaur. So when you take that comparison and you put it to Capella, you were like, okay, he was a guy that maybe we don't need the skill set that a center provides, but he can go up and down the court, right? We don't have to focus our offense around him, but he can be a good defensive rebounder, block, and somebody that can catch the alley-oops.
Yeah.
But when it came down to the nitty-gritty, when he was getting pushed off the block, it was too easy. Like you said, you wanted that fire. You wanted something from him.
Yeah.
And for all intents and purposes,
he shouldn't be getting boxed out,
right,
by point guards and people that are,
exactly
not half his size, but you know what I mean, that are like that much shorter or smaller than him. That shouldn't be happening. And I can just remember time and time again. I'm like, yo, like, get in there. Like, what are you doing?
And what you're seeing from Robert Covington already is somebody with that presence of, you know what, Dennis Rodman wasn't 6'11", 6'10".
Yeah.
He was 6'6".
Yeah.
Right. And he was
he played big.
Right. And you see that. Yeah. You see that somebody that we just basically looked up how tall Covington was, and we were both shocked that he was 6'7".
Yeah.
Right? Because he plays so much bigger.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you wanted from Capella. So at the end of the day, through 4 games, not only does our spacing look better, but if you wanted somebody like that had fire in the belly, that played bigger than who he was, we got the perfect person in Covington who can actually shoot a 3 as well from the center position. So one of the things that baffles me and kind of like I don't understand when it comes to the way they look at Houston teams is, one, I remember the negativity that came with just trading for James Harden. Oh, we're trading for the 3rd best player. We should have got Durant, or we should have got Westbrook. Then James Harden becomes an MVP, possibly the best offensive player in the game, even right now. Yeah. Right. Then after we go and we get CP3, then we trade him for Westbrook. Everybody's talking about, CP3 didn't work. What makes you think Westbrook, that it's such a bad, they're not going to work together. That's a bad pairing, all this stuff. And for all intents and purposes, it's working. It may not be the perfect machine it is right now. I mean, that we want it to be, but there's a growing pain to it. They're in their first season, right? So now when we traded for Covington and we got even smaller, and this whole small ball, the whole small ball type team that we have going forward, to me, is met with another grain of negativity. Now that the whole notion is like, oh, they may be a good team, they may be fun to watch, but it's not going to be good in the playoffs. And I don't get it, because do you remember, what did they call the Wizards, the Warriors, when they went to their small ball lineup? The Death Squad.
The Death Squad? I don't remember
that. Yeah. And so it's like they had that, and it was like, oh, when the Warriors really want to turn it on, they're gonna go to the death squad. They're gonna have Andre Iguodala come in at the 5, or at the 4, and then they move Draymond to the 5.
Yeah.
And that was extreme small ball, and they won 2 champions off of that.
Yeah.
But when we do it, I don't think that we're getting the credit, or it's just like a they don't believe that we can do it. And from what I've seen through 4 games, like I said, there's spacing, great spacing, and Covington's a beast. The only thing that I can see off the rip right now that's a negative per se is our defensive rebounding naturally. Other than that, take care of a couple turnovers, and look, we beat the Lakers, number 1 team in the West, and we beat the Boston Celtics, number 3 team in the East. So
we should have beat the damn Jazz.
Yeah, but that was a lucky shot too. I mean, there's no luck in that, but still, at the end of the day, that was you could shoot it 10 more times, you'll miss it 9. Yeah, you know. But
you forget we lost Nene too, in that, which I don't know. It's 2 big men. I guess that's another reason why they're so heavy on calling us small ball. But I will say, even though I know why and I see it does hurt to lose Gerald Green. Man.
H-Town, homebred.
There was no
braids in the game, bro.
There was no one more diehard Houston.
I don't really care. Like I don't care either way for braids or not. But when I saw him rock new braids, I was like, that shit is nice.
You know he got dropped?
That is so cool. I always gave him props for his hair. What?
Yeah. You know he got dropped?
Oh yeah,
right when they traded him.
Yeah, but see, hopefully, man,
we might be able to pick him up.
To come back.
We might be able to pick him up.
I would love for him to come back. I really want him being Houston, born and bred, man. If anybody that I would like for him to win a championship with the Houston Rockets, it's him. It's him.
And I feel like just him being on the team, he really fires up, like how the morale of the team is. Like when you see them on the sidelines, man, he's getting hyped for
sure
every play. You know, whether he gets to play in it or not, you know, he's coming off the bench, but he's still rooting for Houston die hard. So I mean, he's got 45 tattooed on his chest. It's like, dude, come on.
Yeah,
please bring this dude back. I mean, I get it, you know, it's all business at the end of the day, but bring him back.
Yeah, man, I'm real excited to see what the Houston Rockets are going forward. Once again, this is the Houston Rockets podcast. Hey, might be one day. This is the Sports Trap podcast. My name is John Trapp, Mr. Khoa. I wanted to switch lanes a little bit. Same sport, but a little bit more serious, I guess, if that's the right word. Okay, so a couple of days ago, and you saw the interview, Gayle King is interviewing ex-Los Angeles Spark center, ex-great of the WNBA, and she started asking her questions about Kobe and whatnot. One of the questions that she asked her was if it was difficult, basically I'm paraphrasing, if it was difficult to see how complicated Kobe's legacy was or is with the fact that he had the case above, you know, the I hate even using a word, but the rape case above his legacy. And so, you know, Lisa Leslie handled it perfect. She said, you know, for her, in her personal point of view, she never got that the notion that he was ever an aggressor in that sense. He was ever somebody that would try to get or go out his way to get a female like that in any type of aggressive way, even to the point where he never even asked Lisa Leslie to even ask another girl to come up to him or anything like that. And she hung out with them plenty of times apparently, and they were friends.
She knew him since he was 18.
Right. And then she turns around and Gayle King asks her, well, you're a friend, so you wouldn't see it like that anyways. And then honestly, it just didn't click to me right off the bat. But then you see Snoop Dogg come out and calling her the B word, and you see Lil Boosie coming out, and they're like, you do it to your own people, man. That's so that they were, in my opinion, pretty harsh and pretty, pretty torn up about the fact that Gayle King being black, she did it to another black athlete. As a Latino, I'm kind of I don't know how to feel about that. I don't know to say that Gayle King should get a pass or Gayle King should be run through the mud, because at this point she's even getting death threats. Do you know that? Oprah came out and said that she is not doing well. Oprah came out and defended her on a morning show and was saying that she wasn't doing well, that she's receiving death threats, that she can't go anywhere without any type of security. And I don't know, man. How do you see how they came at her in that type of way? You saw the interview.
I did. To be quite honest, like, I was surprised, I guess, when and how she brought it up. But, and I asked myself, did I think it was out of line? I think in context, I don't think that she meant to do harm necessarily. It was a little weird the way that she asked, and then the way that, you brought up the way that she asked a question, but then she kind of came back where it sounded like she kind of had an agenda, where she was like, well, you wouldn't have noticed it, right? So it's like, and then it reminds me of that, we saw that clip too of Lindsey Granger, who came out and was talking about that reporter, and it was like, well, when it comes to journalism, you're supposed to objectively
cover
your point, and if you're going to ask a question, just ask it based on the facts and what it is, and then get that context. But I think that, and maybe I'm ignorant to what, I guess, Gayle, if that's a different form of journalism or whatnot, but maybe she was trying to elicit some sort of reaction, and then and I think that Gayle is also that person that is called on to be put in those conversations or into those situations. You forget, if you remember, she was the one who gave R. Kelly that interview,
right
about
but that's the difference though, about his misgivings and sexual allegations and all that stuff. But she asked him directly to his face.
Yeah.
Where that's what I do agree with Snoop Dogg and those that say, even Lisa Leslie, not necessarily calling her out, but calling journalists. You had 8 years to say something.
Yeah.
But now you want to bring it up because it's appropriate to his death. That doesn't sit well with me personally, on a personal standpoint. And I've said this before. I think that you as a journalist, yes, you have a job to objectively cover something, give something context. But listen, if you didn't take your time and do it when the man was winning Oscars, winning championships, winning all this stuff, and putting him on the front cover of your magazines, to sell your magazine, to sell your show, to sell your product, you weren't willing to do that then. Why are you doing it now? Because he can't defend he can't defend himself. I think that's dirty. I think that's, like you said, at the very least, maybe she doesn't realize it. Maybe she does now, but at the very least, I think it's disingenuous to come out and do that and then be like, oh, no, it's just journalism. If you feel so morally high about it being journalism, then you should have done it when he was alive. Period. Yeah. Period. I do think the backlash, though, was a little harsh. Yeah. Calling her out of her name. I'm gonna be honest, man. Like, when it comes to people, listen, I have a lot of respect for a lot of rappers. I have a lot of respect for what they do and the time they put into it. I have a lot of respect for Snoop Dogg and what he's done for the hip hop game and genre in general. And maybe personally he's changed and become a different man. I don't know him personally, but I will say this: for hip hop in general, and Snoop Dogg, Lil Boosie, and all them put themselves in this line of fire, basically calling out Gayle King. You guys and other rappers who choose this method of calling females bitches and all this, the way you talk about somebody or females in general, you take it to a level that I think that it's misogynistic. I think it's something that you don't add to the social construct of us changing, of us getting better when you do that. Especially when a time like this, when you have something to say so strongly about Gayle King and calling her out for something that she did, and I agree that she didn't handle it the best way, but you showed how to handle it in the worst way. Yeah. You showed how to handle it in a way that just takes it back another 5 years or how many years it took for us to get to the place that we have a little bit more respect for our women. Now, people, unfortunately, whether you like it or not, people look up to you and they take these words and they see you doing it. So whenever they get slighted by a bitch, slighted by a female, then they start calling her
rubbing
bitch.
off already. Thanks, Snoop Dogg.
Right? Nah, that's fucked up. But when you do this and it starts, perpetuating that whole notion, I think that we got to look at ourselves too. Like I'm not above anybody when I say this, because I've fallen under that too. But I've gotten to the point where I can recognize it in myself to say, like, you know what, I gotta change the way I think about it, change the way I handle my situations when it comes to disagreements and stuff like that. I think that, no offense, but that I didn't like the way they handled it.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I don't know, the more I think about it now, like, I'm not defending her necessarily, but when you listen to that interview, I think honestly I was okay with it until she kind of had that side comment.
Right.
Because I think what she was, if you really listen to it,
what exactly she said?
She was asking, because she worded it in the form of a question. She's
right.
like, when you think back on Kobe's legacy, do you think about, like I guess all the good times and all the accomplishments, or is it more complicated than that?
Right.
I think she worded it very politically, very fairly,
But I think
and then
kinda
cowardly
to me. That's almost cowardly.
Yeah, but it's also, I don't know, like, I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that, because it's a fair question, and then Lisa answered it in a very, like, she could have went whichever way, and I think that's the whole point. She's trying to get that across to say, like, okay, like, what are you gonna say? Are you gonna say, like, no, it's not complicated for me? That's exactly what she said, right? Or she could have said something like, yeah, I see what you're saying, Gayle, like, it is complicated, and she could have said that too. And let's say Lisa says that, now would Lisa have been chastised? You know what I mean? Like, if I believe in anything, and I've grown to believe more and more of, and I have to be consciously aware of and remind myself that it's okay, is that, dude, the First Amendment exists for a reason. You know what I mean? Everybody is okay. Everybody is allowed to speak their piece.
Right.
And to have their opinion. And she's also doing her job. And yeah, I get where people are like attacking her for calling it a low blow, or and I get the timing and everything of it. But then, yeah, you look at the reactions, and it's like, was that equal? Was that justified? Like, I don't know. Like, it is pretty harsh. And it's like, dude, like, trust me, like, I love Kobe too, and I don't see him in that light also, but at the same time, when I think about his past, that's a part of his past, and it is complicated. It's more complicated than just seeing all of his like, great accomplishments. But something that, like, Lindsey Granger made a good point on was that, like, you're taking somebody's worst day and then glorifying that right after he died. And I think that, and I do completely understand with that, where it's like, okay, is this the right time to really, like, bring this up? Where was this in the past, how many ever years it's been since that, right? Like, like, why bring it up now? You had all this time to, why talk about it now?
100%.
Whereas and a big reason why I love Kobe so much is, and we talked about it in our Kobe tribute show, was his bounce back.
Right.
The way he came back, the way he became damn near the best father publicly to
Beautiful
that is
girls.
like that as a celebrity that he showcases everything, and he pours his heart out, like not only on the basketball court but to his family, and he shows it. And it's like, dude, like, all right, let's say that did happen. He did have a slip up. Man, he damn near became a fucking angel after, and I'm not saying it makes that okay. I'm not saying it justifies or anything like that, but we've all had mistakes in our lives, and it's like, I don't know, the timing of it was just bad. And then I don't know if we talked about it in our tribute show, but man, Ari Shaffir.
No, you know what? No offense to my listeners and the public and stuff, but that right there, I didn't even want to mention him. I don't want to say his name. I'm so you know what? You brought it up. Let's get into it. So Ari Shaffir came in and he does this. He's a comedian, and what he does is he takes the death of celebrities and he goes on rants, and he goes on these little things where he nitpicks the worst of that person's career or whatever's in public, and just starts going in on them. And he without any remorse or
context
tact or context, he just went in and started calling Kobe Bryant a rapist, and in other words, I would tell you to go and search this and Google this on YouTube or Google or whatever platform that you want. I don't want you to do that. I don't care to hear it again, to give him any pub. I don't even like saying his name. I don't even like seeing his name in my screen because of what he does and what he's represented. To me, he's not a good person, and he's gotten a pass because he's a comedian. And listen, I'm one of them.
I don't think he's gotten a pass.
No. He's gotten a pass before.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's a comedian.
Yeah.
And I'm not one of those that are like, I give comedians passes all the time. Like black, white jokes. I don't care. It's in the name of comedy, because in some comedy there's truth, but there's more of a way that we can laugh at our sad truth sometimes. But this was like, this took the cake for me. I was livid when I saw that. And it just, he can't hide behind the veil of comedy on this one. If it was a sick joke, if it was a joke, again, I don't think he's a good person. I think what I've seen him put on, and that's the thing. When athletes, actors, even you and me, what you portray to me is all I have to go on. What you show on TV is all we have to go on. I'm not talking about you say there's an actor, there's a movie or whatever, and you play a character. Nobody's really believing that character is you, and if you do, you're an idiot. But through interviews, through just conversations, and I look at you and I create a certain image of you. It's based on what you've told me about you.
Yeah.
And all I have is Ari, and all I see of him is him being a jerk, of him being a dumbass, or him being misogynistic or evil or whatever it may be. Then I'm gonna think that's what he is. And to me, he's even drugged his own friend. That's his friend.
Yeah, that's true.
There was no audience behind that, and he thought it was funny. I don't think he's a good person. Period. Yeah. I don't know how you feel, but that's it. That's probably the last time I'll speak on him about that.
No, yeah. I mean, I'm not a fan of him in any way, but it's a small sample size for me to judge someone off of, and I mean, I think it was horrible, distasteful, 100%. He's come out and like tried to not recant it, but to just explain his side and just like talk about like how he didn't know who the other victims were, he didn't know they were children, or he didn't know his daughter was involved. I'm not defending
It's so funny because before the podcast even started, I told you, Like let's get away from emotional. Let's give conscious takes and
Whoops.
man, no. Listen,
Sorry.
Fuck him. Fuck Ari.
Yeah.
I don't care. I will never actively watch another clip of his or a video or whatever. I will actively change the channel.
No,
I don't want. Listen, I don't cancel anybody, but from a personal standpoint, for me, I will never go out of my way to watch anything he does again. I don't see how he can, through the small sample size that you say, how he can rekindle any want from me to.
Oh no. I'm not saying, and nor
no.
It,
but I do
should
believe
he?
that people do deserve second chances.
Yeah,
but I just
think honestly, like, that's his humor. It's like a sick, sadistic humor. It's fed on from his fans because his fans fiend for that. And when you hear him talking about that, like, people were hitting him up constantly immediately after Kobe died, and we're like, hey, where's your Kobe tweet? Hey, where's your Kobe this and that? And he didn't even know what happened, which is why it was, like I say, it was ill-informed, because he didn't know about the rest of the people on it. He didn't know what the circumstances were. He didn't have any context. He just went out and just said it from whatever knowledge he already had of him. So he took basically Kobe's worst day, and he
Khoa, I know you're not trying to defend him, but think about it like this. If there's 100 people, right, in the audience, right, and I take a baseball and I fucking throw it in the audience, and I just happen to hit somebody because other people in the audience thought that would be funny.
I'm not okay. Okay. You're right. I'm not defending him, but I'm just saying, like, there's a psyche behind why he does what he does, whatever. And I'll tell you what, he may have gotten a pass from all those other times. I'm not saying he gets a pass from me. Like, he really doesn't. Like, I'm not a fan of him, and I'm not saying I ever will be. But I assure you that he regrets this one. This was.
Oh, he can't take that baseball back.
This is the dumbest mistake he's probably ever done, and I don't know what he's gonna do for his career or whatever. But, shit, like, he needs a better PR person to tell him to screen his shit, because I don't think he has one.
It's funny how we go out and we talk about the topics before the show and everything like that. And one of the things I pointed out was this subject, but not to get so emotional and heated behind it. But it was one.
Man, it's hard. It's hard to without Kobe, man. Yeah. And you know, this just speaks also to the level of impact that Kobe had. Right. You know, because I told Calvin, but you saw Calvin on the Kobe show. I'll just mention this real quick. Like, I don't think anybody else's death in the sports world could have had an impact like this.
Yeah, there was somebody saying that today. I'll end it with this.
At all, like, compared to Kobe.
Somebody was saying that they don't remember another instance in the sports world where they had, regardless if they were a fan or not, this is the moment. Like, this is Tupac and Biggie, you know, but within sports, you know, especially within the NBA. And God forbid, you know, just for the sake of comparison, if something would have happened to MJ, you know, Michael Jordan, not that we would feel,
then though, I
don't think it would surpass that.
No.
You know what I mean? That's
and
what I'm saying.
And I think a big part of that is just like where their careers were. Obviously, you know, Kobe was fresh out of his career.
We saw, I mean, as much as we saw MJ was already MJ when we started paying attention to basketball. We saw him being the person and progressing.
So this is a generational thing too. From our generation, 100%. It was like, you knew MJ was the greatest, but you didn't. I mean, I wasn't, you know, like, fully aware. I mean, I was 6-7 years old when he was like winning championships. I didn't really realize what he was until later when I really started watching basketball. But then what was I doing? I was watching highlights, you know. But we really got to see Kobe in the flesh, like, flourish through his career and almost like kind of grow up and live his career out with him. And then not only that, but to have it end so soon, his career, not 3 years ago,
right?
And not only that, but you compare the two, who lives a much more public lifestyle? Kobe.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
MJ is known to be a very private man. That doesn't really like. And maybe this is just me being a bad fan. I don't really even know about his family. But Kobe's is out there. He's 100%. You know, he goes to games with his daughter, and talks about him all the time. Whenever he gets a chance, when he doesn't stray away from media like MJ did. You know, so I think that plays a big part of it too. Why the world loved him so much, and he transcended, even MJ. I think as far as a figure of influence, because MJ I think lit the path in a lot of ways. I think a lot of ways basketball wise, and a lot of ways business wise. You know, building his Jordan empire, but then past that, Kobe was the figure,
Right.
like the actual figure. Like, you know, you
He's
knew
walking
MJ more or less is like almost like a mythical,
Right.
right? He's like a mythical being, but Kobe was like he could have been like your uncle.
That's weird.
So, but you know what I mean?
That is weird. That is weird.
But you know what I mean?
To
Like
think about it
that's
like that,
much more
how
true
you say
though,
it so right. Yeah.
because he wasn't necessarily unreachable. He
Right,
was he was somebody that it's like I felt like if I was in a room, if I ever were to be in a room with Kobe versus to be in a room with MJ, 9 times out of 10 I probably wouldn't have been able to talk to Kobe, versus MJ probably would have been walk right past me. And I don't know, I've never been in a room with either of them,
Right.
but you know what I mean? Like Kobe was always that presence. So anyway, rest in peace,
I want to
Kobe.
transition to
GG.
something to the
other
Astros,
7.
but before we do that, in light of the Astros, I gotta take a little beer break. Crawford boxes. Oh shoot. I might have to switch beers because I didn't realize this wasn't a twist top.
You can't pop that open with the.
You got something?
No, I don't got it.
Right. Shoot, I could do it with the teeth, right? No.
You can go Dome Foam. You can go. They're all. You got plenty of Houston,
baby.
Yeah, there you go.
Um,
You got 3 different Astros beers.
the obligatory. Oh, that didn't go right. Anyway, so once again, this is the Sports Trapp Podcast, and I wanted to talk about the Astros with Khoa joining me here. And lately, the Astros have been in the news more and more because of course, everybody knows by now. If you don't, you've been living under a rock. But the whole cheating scandal and using technology, they were using a camera in the outfield, apparently, banging on trash cans. There's apparently rumors of a buzzer. But then A.J. Hinch gets fired. Jeff Luhnow, A.J. Hinch was the manager. Jeff Luhnow was our GM. He gets fired. We hired Dusty Baker as our new manager going forward. We hired a new GM who was apparently one of the ones that instilled this whole, I don't know if you know this, but he's the one apparently that created or was part of the team that created the algorithm that let the computers know what the signs were. So basically, within a few sequence of pitches, they would figure out what the signs were through a computer. It was called Codebreaker.
Oh.
And an intern came up with it. Our GM is part of that group. But hey, no.
That's not a good look.
Well, it's something that's been kind of hush-hush about. Nobody really knows that. But me reading through the papers, and I'm not trying to bash the Astros here at all. I'm just speaking facts at this point. What else? A.J. Hinch did an interview, and because he didn't want to comment on the buzzers, it's almost like that was a confession, right? But he apologized about what happened. He took responsibility on what happened, and when they asked him about the banging and asked him about him destroying computers and stuff, which he said he took a bat to because he wanted to show that he wasn't agreeing to that. But when Tom Verducci, the interviewer, which is kind of funny, MLB Now, the MLB Network, they're the ones that interviewed him.
Yeah.
And for a league who's the owner of MLB Network, to essentially okay that interview, the way it was portrayed, it just almost lit more flame to the fire.
Yep.
It was kind of weird. And then Tom Verducci actually gives Jeff Luhnow, AJ Hinch, a monitor. After we're talking about everything that went down, and I've already apologized. After the fact, he's like, "Hey, I want to show you this. Tell me how you feel about this." Bro, it's like if, say you cheated on your girl, and you've come out and you said, "I'm sorry, I love her, I made a mistake," and then the guy goes, "Here, I want to show you this," and it's you cheating with said girl on your girl, and it's like, "Tell me how you feel." That's fucked up.
Yeah.
That is so he's showing them a monitor and sound audio, them banging on the trash can.
He should have took it back to that monitor,
bro. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. If that would have been me, I would have. I probably wouldn't have, but if that would have been me, dude, I would have felt like throwing that probably throwing it at him, And it was the interview was funny because not only did they show the clip of it, but they showed him watching it for a whole minute and a half. You know what I'm saying? It's like you got the clip, and then you see the bottom of his head, him watching it on the monitor.
Yeah,
just looking down. I was like, "What? You?" Yeah. I understand. Again,
I think that was just a tactic to see how he reacts, just to see is like, did you know? Did you really not know? Like, what are you?
So, okay, that's one aspect, and then they fired Alex
Cora,
and then newly hired Mets manager
Carlos Beltran.
He gets let go too before he can even coach a game. You realize the Boston Red Sox don't even have a manager yet. They put somebody in an intern, but that's till they hire somebody.
Yeah.
And baseball's come out and said that they haven't made a decision on the Red Sox just yet, but they're still investigating. It's so ongoing. It's like, do you realize all you're doing is making your own sport look bad at this point? I really believe that as a baseball fan, I want this over and done with. Make a decision like this. Throw everybody in the mud if you have to. I don't care. Just do it, and then let the new cycle happen and go on to the season about to start. And we're still talking about this.
Yeah,
literally, the pitchers and catchers they show up, I think tomorrow, I believe, and we're still talking about this.
I mean, I just think it's funny. I think the whole purpose of Rob Manfred doing this is to try to clean up the sport, right? And it's like at this point, that interview I just think was kind of funny. He was, poking and prodding, of course, but I still felt like, I can't believe I'll say this, but I still felt like it was like safe or still
really
kind of geared to where it wasn't really like he wasn't a Gayle King. I
thought it was worse.
I don't know. And then,
I mean, there's no vitriol behind it because it's not like the social aspect to it. But I thought it was more of it's more disingenuous than what Gayle King did.
Let me ask you this: what did you take away from it, from Hinch's, the way he answered everything?
Nothing other than the fact that he will get a job the moment he's unsuspended because he was remorse. He said, "I'm sorry." He took every question, was professional. He even showed sensitivity in the fact that, like, you could hear his voice crack when he started talking about how he had to break the news to his family.
Yeah.
So everything he did was, to me, a T. The weirdest thing in that whole interview.
What about that buzzer question, though?
What was he supposed to say?
Well, because he was being forthright and shutting everything else down, like directly, saying like, I had no idea of that. I had no knowledge, this and this, of every other question, right? Of like the banging trash cans, of like all that. But then when it came to, or admitting fault or whatever, right? Just being straightforward.
Yeah.
But then when it came to the buzzers, he his answer shifted to talking about the MLB's investigation, whereas like that's a very political answer. You know what I mean? Like it's saying like, oh well, that's because 9 times out of 10, someone who's guilty or knows that they're guilty is just gonna say, well, the proof is there, or whatever is out says that. Versus like if you like,
no, I disagree.
Because if I asked you if you knew about that and you didn't know, why wouldn't you just say, I had no idea? That's not a thing. Versus, well, the report says this, so that's what it is. You know what I mean?
Why would you go out of your way?
What do you mean? Why would you go out of your way to talk about the report? The report isn't. That's not what I'm asking you. I'm not asking you about what the report says, right? I'm asking you about what, from your knowledge.
Okay, if we go rob a store, right? They see you and they don't see me.
Mm-hmm.
You mention my name, we fighting, dude. As soon as I get out, we fighting. Or we might.
So then you say, well, we both robbed the store.
Okay,
right?
But don't say it. Don't go out of your way to say we robbed the store.
So then you're admitting that by him doing that, that's exactly the trait of somebody who knows that they're guilty, but is just saying the political thing, right? That's what I'm getting at.
I don't think.
I'm not saying from the Astro standpoint he did anything wrong.
Regardless if he did it.
But I'm saying from public opinion and what people are gonna think of whether he actually was in the know or not.
I think that's.
I mean, well, I'll never know.
That's a very faulty way to try to implicate somebody, because you don't know. But
I don't know.
Right. The fact that
no, not at all.
The fact that he didn't give the answer that you wanted means that he's implicating.
It's not that
himself.
I want it. I'm just presenting a point here that have been pointed out by many people. I'm not the first one to think of that.
Okay, but in what legal system, or what legal situation that you've seen that the lawyer's like, yeah, go ahead and answer that, even if it wasn't talked about in the report,
but he answered everything else like that
because it was in a report. I'm not gonna go out of my way to guilt myself into something that I may or may not have taken place or have done.
All right.
I just there's no legal benefit, or there's no benefit to say yeah that happened. There's none. And
I think AJ is legitimately no
a job.
Of course I want a job.
If you would have come out and say about the buzzers,
I know.
You will never get a job. I stand by this to this day.
No,
my Friars,
that's the whole...
after this team, he's never gonna get another contract.
I agree with that. No, I agree with that.
So that's what I'm saying. Like AJ Hinch knows tomorrow.
But that's two different things.
If he would have came out,
you're talking about a motive of why he wouldn't say it. Whereas
no,
he might know that that's the truth, but he's not going to say it. Right?
I would have just said. I wouldn't have said anything, whether did it or not.
You should have did the whole interview then. What's the point of the interview?
Right.
Why take the interview, and why be in the hot seat if you're not ready to answer the questions?
Because that wasn't part of the report.
Look.
Well,
you know I'm diehard. I'm diehard Astros.
I'm street code to the gills, man. Like you listen.
No, I understand, but I'm just trying to.
If we both rob a store, and they don't see you, and you get away,
goddamn store.
Bro, listen, I'm going to jail for you. But bro, you better have my half.
Yeah,
As soon as, and my family better be taken care of. My kids better be taken care of, bro. Nah. There's a code. There's a code in these streets, and there's a code in the locker room. See, that's the thing. Mike Friars passed that code to me. Like he took that code and was like, he's to me, we I don't know, man. That to me was the ultimate. What is that word where? You know, there's a deal breaker. We never coming back from this. You know.
But what's worse, you know, like him being the whistleblower or the cheating that happened in the first place? You know what I'm saying?
To me.
To you, I know that. Yeah, to you.
It's just there's so many complexities that goes to this, and I understand where you ask me, that's a personal choice. What's worse, whistleblowing or the cheating? you ask Chris, friend of co-host of the podcast, he'll say the cheating because there's a moral code, and I understand that too.
Yeah.
I get that point of view, but at the end of the day, I'm gonna rob a store, hand myself into the cops. I'm not doing that, bro.
You're flawed already. You shouldn't be robbing stores. We shouldn't be robbing stores.
Yeah, no, I feel you.
Support your local businesses by not robbing them.
I gave up that life, man. I gave up that
Oh,
life.
God. All right, we're not getting into there. All right, let's move on from these depressing-ass topics.
Right, for sure, man. Oh, man. Oh, you know what? You know what happened this weekend? The XFL happened this weekend.
Woo!
The Sports Trapp podcast where we talk about everything. We cover everything, especially Houston. H-Town stand-up. H-Time. That's for you don't know. You people that don't know about H-Town, that's when you show love and respect to the H, baby. So, one of the teams, the Houston Roughnecks, had an amazing display of the XFL football. Season 1 in the books. And you know what? Did we not show out? Are we not the number 1 attended XFL game in the entire league?
We're the best team in Houston right now, as far as I'm concerned.
We and we're undefeated. That's something. Right?
1-0, baby.
And I tell you what, though, through 1 week, I think we got the MVP. You know, I'm really big on, especially like MLB, football, NFL, and NBA. You can't base anything on one game. But the XFL is so new that you don't know what you have. I mean, even the game, the odds makers didn't know because they had two teams were favored, lost by 20-something points. Right?
Woo.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the other two teams, the favorite, they covered or whatnot. But my point is, like, nobody knows, right? So at this point, number 1, we scored the most points, right? And our defense, which at first I think we were losing, I want to say 6-17, didn't allow another score for the rest of the game. Not only that, they had to change quarterbacks.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
so through everything, our quarterback threw 4 touchdowns, ran for another, and through just plain memory, statistically speaking, I think we got the most extra points, which they don't cover. They don't do extra point kickoffs. So basically, there's no kicker that other than a field goal for 3 points after the touchdown. There's no field goal kicker. It's all 1 point for, I think, the 2-yard line.
It's like the one of the but probably the
2
2
points from the 5-yard line, and 3 points from the 10-yard line. What do you think about those rules?
I think I don't know. I think it's cool. I mean, it adds a different aspect.
Would you?
I would never not go for the 3. I would never not go for the 3. Why not?
That's a.
You know what I mean?
I think that's the purpose, but I don't think anybody went for the 3 this year.
No, they did.
They did.
Mm-hmm.
Like on a winning team.
Yeah, a couple. I saw a couple of successful 3-point conversions. I think it was in the game that went on before the Roughnecks. I think it was the DC Defenders, and
I don't think they did at all. I watched that entire game.
really.
I mean, I may be
Then maybe
wrong.
it was our game. No, I definitely saw at least one, or maybe it was us. Maybe we did.
All I know is as far as, because I watched basically every game. Offensively, we were a machine. I love there's apparently June Jones, who I don't necessarily know. He's an ex U of H coach, and he created the run and shoot, I think that's what it's called, offense that was popular throughout the college football ranks, and especially it added another wrinkle to teams that weren't that good, and teams that were willing to take chances and stuff that other teams that traditional were more like running pro style or even like run option teams. They didn't take those chances like the lower seeded teams. But so June Jones has come back to Houston, and like he's lit a fire under the Houston Roughnecks, and what I've seen so far is really good. And like I said, I think that we got the MVP. The reason that that people don't look at the XFL or the Houston Roughnecks pretty much as our quarterback as an MVP is just because he's not the big name. There's Cardale Jones. You got
Landry Jones.
Those are all ex NFL players, and this guy is like 6'3". He's the smallest player on the field. It looks like you know. But dude, he has an arm. He's elusive.
What'd you say? AI?
Oh. See, no, but hold on. I'll get back to that. But what I will compare him to immediately is somebody like Patrick Mahomes, but for the XFL.
Ooh, that must be tough for you to say.
It's not that. It's just I think that what the XFL offers is the ability for somebody to get better, to play in real time situations that maybe on a practice squad they couldn't, or maybe somebody with a shorter stature or smaller build couldn't make it in the NFL just because nobody would give him a chance. But look at Jose Altuve. I know it's a different sport, but like somebody that was looked over, maybe they get the chance to go into the XFL to prove themselves to get to the next level to the NFL. And you know what? If that's the case, man, maybe we'll see AI in a football uniform. Not AI himself, but like everybody. I remember when Vic came out, AI was a person that everybody was talking about, not Vic. They say AI was better than Vic. And when Vic came on, he lit the scene. Everything that Lamar Jackson is doing and taking over is what Vic was supposed to do.
Yeah.
Or did for a time, but history is what it was. And by the way, that is an amazing documentary. I don't know if you haven't seen it. Vic's 30 for 30.
Ooh.
Baller.
I gotta watch
Check it out.
I gotta watch
But yeah,
but is that the? I'm trying to still, I love the first week of the XFL.
You want to get into the general aspects of NFL? XFL, excuse me.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, or let me tell you. Okay, so you kick off. There's only a 10-yard difference between the teams. So basically, when they kick off, they can't move until
the ball is caught.
Right. I like that.
Yeah.
There's not like 40-yard downhill, boom, crashing. I don't mind that, but you almost want to see them break through that line. Yeah. Have you ever? You're like, I'm waiting for somebody just to take it to the house.
Yeah.
The 1 foot inbounds, I love that. I like it because they can push you out and you can't get your 2 feet in or 1 foot in. But if you catch the ball and you have at least 1 foot in, that's good.
College rules. Yeah.
What else? The 25 every
Second.
down is 25. What's the clock?
Shot clock.
Yeah, I keep wanting to say shot clock, but every play is 25 seconds long, as compared to the NFL is 40. There's some other
trying
rules
to speed up the game. Yeah.
There's some other rules.
Overtime, super funky.
Yeah, what was it? What is the overtime?
Overtime, apparently they kind of do it like a soccer shootout style, where each team gets 5 possessions.
What?
To score, but like score from like the 2. I forget.
Whoa.
I read it. It was kind of weird. But
hold on. So I get 5 possessions to score from the 2-yard line.
Whoa, but like I think like alternating.
Yeah.
Something like that. It was like, because I think that they're trying to really go for like the sudden death shootout, to where it's like you didn't have to go
you know what?
down throughout the field.
I don't
know.
It's weird.
I don't like the NFLs either, to be honest, because I think because what does college do? College is like the NFLs, where you get a possession to score. Let's say you don't score and you get a field goal. Then what happens? The opposing team gets a possession, and then they get a field goal. What happens?
But see, they have 4 downs. See, that's the problem.
What?
This one's is 1 down, right? It's 1 down, or is it 4 downs?
It might be 4. I think it's.
See, if this 4 downs, I don't like it.
It might be 1.
4 downs from the 2.
I gotta read it again. But no, keep talking. I'm gonna look it up.
No. Like if it's 4 downs, excuse me, if it's 1 down, like an extra point, you're going for a 2-point conversion. And if it's 1 shot, one go. I like it because the game,
One play, yeah.
yeah,
Gets 5 one-play possessions from the
I've
5-yard
never
line
heard that.
with successful conversions counting for 2 points. In overtime, in one XFL game, Team A could score 4 times for... Oh!
So what?
So okay. So it is just like soccer,
Right.
where
One
each
go.
time you score,
Yeah.
it counts, but you get 5.
Right.
So then you can, yeah. So Team A could score 4 times for 8 additional points total and win, while Team B could score only twice for 4 additional points. Wow. So yeah, it's just like
it's just like
PKs.
I like it. I've never heard that solution, and it's probably the best one I've heard so far.
5-yard. So yeah. So you
It's
know
from the 2-yard line or 5-yard line?
5-yard.
Okay.
So teams they got a whole playbook just for that.
You know how bad I want to see an overtime game in week 2?
We got Philly Special 1, Philly Special 2.
So now, honestly,
I want to see that too.
How long do you think that the XFL will take to become viable? Because you already know XFL died in 1 year. I think it's the AAFL died in less than a season, and now you got the XFL. So at this point, like, what will it take to make the XFL viable? And for 1 week, they had 11 million viewers on TV, which outdid anything from the NBA, anything from the NCAA, and I want to say like golf or something. So they drew more eyes than anybody in sports right now over the weekend. Now, I remember it being like, I want to say like 20 million viewers in the old XFL.
Yeah.
But
that was
they
what,
tanked
2001?
the next week. This one looks really good, and the 11 million viewers, which I think that you can look at it and compare it to last time, but I think doesn't make it look as bad. And at this point, I think it's okay because people are kind of skeptical. Now, if you start lower and you build on that, that's a great sign, as opposed to starting real high and then you like fall. You get what I'm saying? So I think there's certain things that have to happen for the XFL in order for it to maintain. And if it can maintain, then I think it got a good shot to be a viable source for, say, farming players into that league. I think it's we kind of got into it a little bit where it's not the NCAA, but more of a transition between players that can't play in college anymore because, say, like the time's up or, for whatever whatnot reason. But it gives them a chance to showcase their skills and build on that and hopefully get into the NFL. I don't see where the XFL will ever compete with the NFL, but if it could be that that stopgap, or not stopgap, but that little buffer in between where, hey, if the XFL could eventually go into the preseason, I would love to eliminate the preseason from the NFL. It'd just be like boom, 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 NFL. And NFL you can either draft through that or the college, just like baseball does. They go draft or they pick players out through different leagues, or they pick players out of college. The NFL can start doing the same thing. But the moment you try to start saying that you're bigger than NFL, I think you're done. You have to have the backing of the NFL. You have to.
I agree with that. And that's a question I was going to ask earlier. I was like, what is the goal? Obviously they want to be viable. They want to stay afloat, right? Vince McMahon isn't just throwing money into this just to have it fail after one season. But it's like, think about like, what is it going to take for it to stay afloat? And I think as long as we get quality football being played, I think it'll stay afloat. Because now, think about it. It doesn't overlap with the NFL season. So we got football all year round, which you could see as a good or a bad thing, right? Because typically what happens? Super Bowl is done, and then we got to wait a whole however many months until football again. And it's just like, for those who love football, which is truly, I know everyone baseball is America's sport, but come on, football in today's age is America's sport. There's nobody that makes money and gets viewers like football does. But now it's like, okay, but a big part of that is because of how the season is. It's 16 weeks long, and it's like you got to wait that whole turn again to watch more football. So it gets people excited, and now it's like there's no break. So there's no break from NFL to XFL. So are people going to want to tune in week after week and keep up with it and be excited about it? You know, like I think week 1, just because Super Bowl just ended.
I think at the end of the day, though, the product is the one that has to sell.
Yeah, no, the product
play has to be good.
Exactly.
The play has to be exciting.
Yeah.
There's people that said that these low scoring games were like a good show of defense. I completely disagree. I think that, especially for something starting out, you have to be exciting.
Yeah.
And at the end of at this point, exciting is offense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at the NFL. They don't want to see a 3-6 game. They want to see something in the
I don't want to
20s,
see a 13-3 Super Bowl.
Right.
Fucking Rams.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like nobody. I don't think anybody wants to see that. And they want to see competent quarterback play.
Yeah.
You know, and
I think that's what they're going for.
Bro, imagine Taysom Hill in the XFL. He would wreck.
Yeah.
And he'd be exciting to watch.
Yeah.
You know? And
out of anybody in the NFL right now? Like,
right. So everybody's talking about Taysom Hill being a franchise quarterback because he mentioned it. Like apparently the head coach of, I can't think of his name right now, the head coach of the New Orleans Saints came out and he said that he's a starting.
Sean Payton
came out and said he's a starting.
Gary Payton. I was like, that's not right.
He's a starting quarterback in the NFL. And then he comes out and says he's a franchise quarterback in the NFL. Bro, I would love to see him play in the XFL. I think he'd be a perfect, experimental example of what it.
Nobody leaving the NFL to play.
No. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying him, but I'm saying imagine a prototype of him.
Yeah.
Being into the XFL, proving himself for 3 years or 2 years or even a year, Boom. The next season, you know how much buzz it would create. You think about, and when I'm talking about the farm systems in the NFL, you think about Tua, you think about Joe Burrow, and you think about, say, like I brought up Taysom Hill. Say they all came out right now, right? You know how many GMs would love to see Tua in the XFL for a year before they even took a chance to have him play on my team?
So do you think the way that it sounds and the way that it could potentially go is that there becomes a partnership between XFL and NFL?
I think that's the only way that it.
Because I believe that you're right. They have to be able to coexist. Like XFL has to be able to work outside of NFL's, I guess, like jurisdiction in a way,
right.
And not like overlap and take any of their revenue or their names or their
and they position themselves that way. In the offseason the way they is. And then whenever their season's done,
but there's enough talent to do that. I think that's a big part of it too. Whereas like, is there enough talent to I think that's one of the things that we may be iffy about. It's like, well, if you don't make it to the NFL, I believe there are tons of athletes that are or could be stars that don't get the shine or don't get the opportunity to, but then they potentially could in the XFL. But if there aren't enough, that's where it's going to fail.
Bro, there is 100+ college football programs, and we watch it every year, right? Mm-hmm. On every program, there's like 100 players, right?
Those rosters
then you whittle it down to, 7 rounds in the NFL? Mm-hmm. 7 rounds of 30 teams. So that means, what is that? 30 times.
Not only that,
7.
but then after that, you got to make the 50. You got to make the 53-man cut.
Right. Mm-hmm. Okay. So from then, you got 8 teams with another 53. You're still getting the cream of the crop. You're still getting the best of the best. Mm-hmm. But it's that in between of people that need to progress and get better, and they're not yet good. Arian Foster, perfect example. Somebody that kind of flamed out in college, right? Got on a practice squad, waited a couple years, boom, made his impact, damn near MVP. Took over. Automatically going to say the best running back the Texans have ever had.
Oh, easily.
You know how much do you realize how faster, I don't even know, how fast he could have made it to the NFL, been on a better team, been in a better position, had a better contract had he gone to the XFL and mashed and crushed.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm saying is, like, people get to see that. And not only that, it creates a buzz that one, everybody, every week in and week out, for that year, the XFL wants to see.
Mm-hmm.
Then he gets picked into the NFL. There's another buzz. The NFL gets more revenue, more money. NFL wants to do more deals with the XFL. Like I said, you have to have the backing of the NFL for the XFL to exist.
And that's where I don't know, the intentions of the XFL. Like I asked you earlier, is like, what if Vince McMahon, in his mind, is like, no, I want the XFL to overtake the NFL.
Right.
So let's say these stars start arising in the XFL, becoming these great players, having these great games, and then he's gonna start finding. What if he starts finding a way to try to keep them, try to build contracts, try to say, hey, you can take my contract. You know what I mean? Because let me offer you $1 million, an unheard of contract, to entice you to stay here instead of going there. What if that's his MO? I don't know. No,
you're right. And I think that's where the devil may lie. That's where, like, okay, you got this superstar that decided to leave college early, right? And there's actually a West Virginia, I want to say his name is Kenny Robinson. He decided to leave college and said, you know what? I want to get into football as my path to the NFL, right? Projected to be like third or second round. He wants to raise his stock to the first round, maybe even get top 10. That pay scale is completely different.
Yeah.
But if he can show out in the XFL, it goes bigger. But to your point is, the moment you and Vince McMahon is, I can almost guarantee you, from what I can tell, he's very egotistical, right? The moment he has that superstar coming out of the XFL, college, and going to the XFL, and then showing out on top of that,
yeah,
dude.
I mean, just think about it. Think what he did with WWE.
That could be a downfall,
because he essentially created a monopoly and overtook WCW.
You know what?
And was it whatever team or whatever other? I can't even remember.
That'll be their downfall. They'll just start picking these players, and then they'll say, like, they can basically lock them out.
Because I don't know if that's but I don't know if he had a much the foothold back then with like WWE or WWF back in the day versus WCW was a much more on an even ground versus like you're going after the giant, the Goliath of NFL, if that is what you're going for. And it's like, yo, there's no other sport or league to tackle like the NFL, especially money wise, And then I don't know, just I like where things are now. I'm curious to see how they turn out. Like I like that there's no franchises and it's all owned by him. But I don't know how that's gonna play out because the whole point. I think a big thing with XFL, which I do agree with, is they're big on transparency.
Right.
They want everything to be
out
in the forefront, to the point where players and or coaches have mics on them and are having live feeds into
that's weird
into the camera, or not into the camera, but like they're being broadcast as like they're going into their huddle and whatnot, and it's like, whoa. And they're doing interviews to players immediately after plays,
even if they fumble.
And it's like, oh hey, what happened on that fumble there? Oh hey, how that missed field goal you just did, what happened? You saw what happened. I missed. Went wide right. So it's like, I don't know. Like those aspects are, I like the transparency aspect as a whole, but little things like that seem a little gimmicky, and they kind of seem like reality TV a little bit. And whereas like I'm much more traditional, where I just want to see good football, and as long as that's there, I don't want them to rely on the little gimmicks.
Yeah,
Once if the quality of the game starts to deteriorate, then those other things don't matter.
See, I think that's the thing. The product has to be good on the field first.
Yeah.
Then all the gimmicks and stuff.
Yeah.
We're going to see what works and what doesn't.
Yeah.
You know, things are going to fall off. Things are going to be implemented and stuff like that. Like you brought up transparency. I love the fact that they allow the viewer, and apparently if you go to the game, you can even hear on the big screen them interviewing people. They interview not interview, but the conversations that the referees and the coaches have is in full plain view, and that I think builds so much trust with the public.
Yeah.
You know, that's the one thing that I know that
that's
when
cool.
you think
I think that's pretty cool. I think that, and it's funny too. Like I don't think you realize until you go to a game, whether it be like NBA or MLB or any professional sport, that you're so used to when you watch on TV to hear these commentators and to hear what's going on,
100%.
like being broadcast to you, and then you go to a game and you're like, where I don't hear any of that. You just hear the game, and you can see it as like a plus or a minus depending on who you are, I guess. But I think having a little bit of a voice or having a little bit of that, I think that I don't think it takes away from the game.
Right.
And I think it only adds to it. And you could still, come on, you could still multitask. You could still watch. They're not stopping the game, what they're doing, and they're just adding a little bit of commentary to it. Because I remember my first, NBA game going to, and I was like, oh, it just started. Oh, okay. They're just, you don't hear nothing, and it's just like you just watch the game, which is, don't get me wrong, which is cool because you get to watch a sport for what it is without any color.
Right.
But I wouldn't mind hearing some commentary. I guess I'm one of those people too. I don't know.
Hey,
some people.
I
are you one of those people that like has to watch sports and you put it on mute because you don't want to hear anybody talk about it because it colors how you think about the game or whatever? Because I'm not. I'll be honest. I'm not.
Sports, but boxing, yeah. Boxing and like UFC, yeah. Like no. During the fight, I'll listen to it, and I won't even really pay attention, but it's in the background noise, and maybe you didn't see something or you didn't realize something, so the commentator here. But like if it's a close draw or whatever, what I'll do is I'll turn the volume all the way down, and I just want to see the fight for what it is, and then I'll make my decision on that.
Yeah,
I've done that a few times.
I get that one though because that's very analytical, and the outcome depends on the point of view, and to be able to see, like the hits and all that stuff.
The whole reason I brought it up because I think it's neat. I think as a viewer, when you go to the game and you can hear all that, not necessarily the commentator, but like the interviews and stuff like that. Yeah. That's like letting you in. Yeah. That not only
think about it. Also, that's basically not verbatim, but think about wrestling, where he's bringing that from. You go to these.
No, wrestling doesn't give you that. Does it? Oh yeah, because you get the mid.
You hear the commentators.
Yeah, they'll not commentators. You don't hear the commentators. You hear the interviews. So like, say The Rock goes and does.
Oh yeah,
mid ring. That the whole stadium hears it. You know what I mean? The whole.
I could have swore you heard the commentators.
Nope.
You don't?
Nope.
Not even in WWE.
Nope. I mean, I've never heard them. I haven't been in a while.
Because that's if there's any
WrestleMania 2. WrestleMania 2.
It's been a long. Yeah, I don't remember. But out of any sport, if you can call wrestling a sport, that's one of the ones where the commentary is so colorful and you it's almost like another part of it's like the extra athlete and the
yeah, for sure.
They're a player.
But that's the point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, with other sports, you can a lot of people can do without, and I honestly could as well if I really wanted to. If I had it on mute, I could still watch it. It's fine. But in wrestling, it's like no, I want to hear Jim Ross go. If I want, I want. You know what I mean?
At the end of the day, it has to be about the product on the field. Yeah. But I do want to get into a little quick takes about some other topics. So we're gonna have to end it there. Sorry to cut you off.
No,
but,
you're good.
Real quick, man. I didn't want to talk about this too much, but yeah, there's a couple things that happened while we were gone for the past couple weeks. One, oh boy, went to Vegas to watch the Super Bowl live. How'd that turn out for you, man? How was Vegas?
It was fun, man. It was a good time. It was.
How long do y'all stay out there?
4 days or so.
Yeah. And so, like, where did y'all watch the actual Super Bowl? What?
This place called.
Yeah. No. I'm sorry. No. Yeah.
Emerald.
I should have seen your face. I should have like.
No, man. It's it's
you picked. Who'd you pick?
One and only Kansas City
Chiefs. Yeah, me too, man. I picked them.
Yeah. Is that right?
I picked them at the beginning of the year.
Where's that red and gold hat?
Hey, man. If you've been watching the podcast for a while now, you know that I'm a San Francisco fan, and the main thing that I said was I picked the Chiefs at the beginning of the year, hoping that I was wrong because I wanted the San Francisco 49ers. But unfortunately, the San Francisco 49ers did not win. The Chiefs, I gotta give props to Patrick, my homie, Mahomes. But he showed out. I can't lie. Like, you know, you place all the blame on the defensive coordinator. You place all the blame on the head coach. I mean, you can nitpick here and there. Even Jimmy Garoppolo can get it, you know. Like, but at the end of the day, who showed up? One, Chris Jones, with those knockdowns, at the huge knockdown in the fourth quarter, and none other than the man himself, Patrick Mahomes. Man, it just he deserves all the praise. He's been the best football player through all the ups and downs. I mean, he damn near lost his kneecap. It was all the way up into his stomach at some point, but didn't dislocate it. Apparently, I don't know how that happened, or didn't break it, or whatever. But came back and took the Chiefs to the Super Bowl. And then, you know, I remember last year everybody was saying, oh, like Kareem Hunt was the reason they got, you know, all the all that jazz, and he's the one that really Kareem Hunt's on another team. Kareem Hunt didn't help him win the Super Bowl last year. I mean, well, he got him to where he helped them get them to where they got, but they of course didn't win it. But no Kareem Hunt this year, and hey, they got it. You know, so much props to those deserved.
I know that hurts to say.
I do think that this team can be in the Super. These teams, it's never happened in the NFL before, but I legitimately think that these two teams can be in the Super Bowl at least the next 2 years. That window is honestly, at this point, do you see another AFC team better than the Chiefs? And you can't really say that because, of course, they're the champions. But let's say the next best team, Ravens. They still haven't figured out a way to beat the Chiefs. As much as you get all these, you know, Lamar Jackson is the next thing to slice bread. They can't figure out how to beat the Chiefs. And if it's, you know, not Seattle, who is it besides the 49ers?
I'll be honest, I don't know about the Niners.
See, oh my God. I'm not trying to get emotional on this. I really
don't, man. And I've said it before, so I don't want to sway from it because I've told other people this, and I do truly stick by it. Just in my honest opinion, even if they did win, I don't see this team having longevity the way that it is. And, you know, and I said in my prediction about the Super Bowl, one of the determining factors was how Jimmy G rises to the occasion.
Right. We all said that. I mean, we
did you really though? But then did you see your defense not I'm not gonna say they didn't show up.
No,
but not playing into their ability.
No, but at the end
of
the day,
Mr. C-Rod Chris Rodriguez, who called Richard Sherman as MVP, got burnt.
But they come on.
Well, it was an important play. I'm spitting out what y'all saying.
Right.
To me.
Right.
You know, so And like I said, maybe that's just the sample size that we saw. But then I'm just looking at the whole season, and come on, that was a perfect storm of a season for the Niners, right?
Okay,
if Chris was here, he would say the same thing. That they had an easier schedule, and I'm not saying that they didn't prove themselves to get to that point to the Super Bowl, but then if they were truly that team, they should have won.
They had an easier schedule?
Yeah.
To who?
Then a lot. I'm saying for them to have gotten there.
Okay, you're telling me they had an easier schedule. I'm gonna tell you why that's bull. Not because but like I'm telling you why that's not true.
Right.
Okay. One, the next best team was Seattle. Right? Can you agree with that?
Yeah.
They played them twice.
Mm-hmm.
To the last minute, both times. Right? They played Green Bay, division winner.
Mm-hmm.
They beat them. They played the Saints, division winner. They beat them. They played the Ravens. They played them down to the last minute. That's the one top team that they lost to, right? Besides the Chiefs, of course. Other than that, they won out. They had one bad game, which was to the Falcons. Other than that, they were 3 possessions away from being undefeated until the Super Bowl. That was not an easy schedule. And I know this because I'm the 49er fan. Mm-hmm. But as an emotional tie to them, I have to sit back and realize that Jimmy G failed in bringing the team back into the Super Bowl. You said it. I said it. Even Chris said it. At some point, Jimmy G has to be the one to carry this team because the defense can only do so much. We've seen it time and time again. Mm-hmm. Yes, the defense can be great and everything, but at some point, whether you want to win a championship today and for the next year, your defense can only do so much. Your quarterback has to be the one. And that's at the end of the day, we remember Tom Brady. We remember Joe Montana. And we'll remember Patrick Mahomes coming down from 10, coming down from
Trent
20.
Dilfer.
We'll remember Tom Brady, Joe Montana, Patrick Mahomes before I was so rudely interrupted. But that's what I'm saying. Like, Jimmy G had his opportunity and threw the ball 5 yards over Emmanuel Sanders' head. That was the game. That one play. And you know what was the one play for the Chiefs? 3rd and 15.
Yep. Wow.
Tyreek Hill down the other opposite side of the field, catches the ball.
Mahomes called that play. Fucking wasp.
Game time. I remember sitting in that sofa right across there, and I said, this play is the most important game of the most important play of the game, and that was it. That set off everything. The comeback of all comebacks. Well, not of all, but yeah, you feel me.
And then Sherman got burnt. Oh,
yeah. That
was tough.
So, anyways.
Hey, I could be wrong. It's just my opinion. I'm not saying that they're not an elite team because I think they had an amazing season and they could very well be back.
No, okay.
There, but
the only thing I'll ask you is like, if when we look at the NFL, of course, it's ever changing and everything like that. But what team do you see would overtake the 49ers? If it's not the Seattle Seahawks, there's only one other team that I think that would be poised. And I'm gonna just say it, and I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm gonna let it fester till next week because I've seen it steamroll a little bit, and it's building momentum.
What?
The only other team is the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh no,
Texas. We may, if they can overtake the 49ers, we may have a championship on our hands. But don't get me wrong. Do not for 1 second think that I believe that the Cowboys can do it if they franchise this quarterback. Dak Prescott is not going to lead you to the greener pastures. I'm sorry. He had a chance. The only other player that can do it is a six-time
Tom Brady.
I'm telling you, that's the only way. That is the only way. Dallas Cowboys.
That's scary to think about. Never would I thought we would live to see that. But that's kind of exciting.
I'll leave it to
what
the
would
next
shake up the NFL more than that?
Right. 100%. 1%. All right. There's another event that happened this week in Houston, Texas. H-Town. H-Town represent UFC.
247.
This is the Sports Chat Podcast. My name is John Trapp. Khoa, man, you know what? Did you get to watch the UFC 247?
I didn't. I watched a little bit of highlights here and there, but I didn't get to
John
watch
Jones?
It. Yeah.
Reyes. Well, John Jones pulled out.
Unanimous
decision. In a perfect world, I don't think it was unanimous. I could see Reyes get one.
Oh, I heard it was highway robbery.
See, that's not true though. That's not true. I personally, and I'm gonna say this from a biased standpoint, I align myself to the edict of if you want to be the champion, you have to beat the champion.
And I agree with that.
Right. So he didn't beat the champion. I don't believe necessarily that scorecards don't mean anything, but at the end of the day, if we're in a fight and I may have lost 4 rounds, right?
Mm-hmm.
I may have lost 4 rounds, but that last round, I'm whooping the fuck out of you, and you basically get saved by the bell because the 5th round, ended, and all it is if I had one more round, I would have finished you. Then I want to fight. But on the scorecard, it's gonna.
That's not how it works.
Hey, that's what happened.
That's not how it works.
That's what happened. Honestly, that's what. So the first round, Reyes, right? Dominic Reyes. Second round, Dominic Reyes. Third round, that's where it gets dicey. Like you could see where Dominic Reyes was kind of fading, and John Jones was kind of coming on, but Dominic still had some left in the tank. And in the 4th round is when John Jones, not only did he come on, but he started dominating, right? So as much as Dominic Reyes was doing so well in the first round, didn't look like the 5th round.
Yeah.
Like this is where John Jones was showing that he was a champ.
Yeah.
So if it had been a 6th round,
I was about to
7th round, 8th round.
So if you look at it in that context, where let's say if there was an extra round, Reyes wouldn't have lasted.
No.
Or it would have been much more apparent that
I'll tell you like this.
Jones would have dominated.
If there's ever been a warrant for a rematch, this is it. And I didn't think before the fight, I didn't think it was going to be that. Dominic Reyes wasn't supposed to be this good. And that's where I think a lot of people they give him credit because he wasn't supposed to be that good. He wasn't supposed to be there. He wasn't supposed to even hang with John Jones. But the fact that he did gives people extra motivation to say, you know what? He deserves to get this win. He deserves to be there. He deserves to be the champ. Not because he actually beat John Jones, but because he was there and he hung with him. It's like say you and me say
rob
you,
a bank.
No.
Or a store. Sorry.
Say you're the new number 1 draft pick and you're supposed to be the big shit, right? And you and Michael Jordan are going at it, 45 points each, and it's down to 1 play, right? Game 7, NBA Finals, Michael Jordan hits it. Everybody's going to give you props for even being there. Everybody's going to give you props for being 45 points, and you probably went down to tie the game, and Jordan kills it at the last second and 47 points. Everybody will be like, dude, you're the next it. You're the next Michael Jordan. You're the next, whatever, for what it's worth, Kobe Bryant.
Okay.
Right? But nobody's going to give you that. You got to still take it from Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan still took it from Isaiah Thomas. You have to take it from John Jones.
Yeah.
So Dominic Reyes was there. He hung with John Jones, but you got to take it. You got what John Jones did to get the championship. He took it. Take it from him. And I think you deserve the rematch, but take it from him. If that's the case, take it.
But that's where it's much more definitive in basketball because it just comes down to points. So if you score more, you took it, right? Whereas that's not your decision in fighting.
Right.
It's somebody else's decision.
Okay, well then that's also part of the game then.
It is, yeah. So
you're gonna.
I'm not saying I agree with it one way or the other. It's just because I do agree with that sentiment or that mentality of like, man, if you're the champion or if you're the challenger, you really gotta beat the champion.
Right,
but what does that mean? What
Right,
does
right.
really beat the champion mean? So it's different in everybody's eyes, and then as a judge, or when you're judging a scorecard, it's different in their eyes too.
Go ahead.
Well, I'm just
Sorry.
saying, like there's a lot of technical things that they're putting down, but then where do those technical points matter less? And then, there's, I think, a certain amount of it that's a little bit intangible. You know what I mean? When you're talking about like really beating him, some of that becomes intangible. Who was more tired towards the end of the fight? Who dealt more damage? Like, I don't know. But then, because when you score it, it's by blows landed
Right.
versus thrown. You know what I mean? Like, and takedowns
But that's the thing. John Jones he outthrew him and outstruck him. But when you're talking about the intangibles, Reyes looked like he hit the heavier shots.
Mm-hmm.
But that was all at the beginning of the fight.
Yeah.
So when there was like there was a energy bar, right?
Uh-huh.
And you see the two fighters. You're
We talking
watching
Street Fighter now. Okay.
Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, right? So rounds 1 and 2, John Jones gets all the way to half, right?
Uh-huh.
3 gets a little bit more, but not much.
Uh-huh.
Reyes is in full power. But by the end of the fight, Reyes was like at 10%. And John Jones was still looking at like half. You get what I'm saying? So like he was heavy blows, but he wasn't throwing as much. And John Jones was always constantly rushing at him.
Yeah.
And
That's a good point.
but I mean, like I said, the best way to handle this, rematch. There's never been a situation where I think that somebody deserves an immediate rematch as much as I think they did. And that says a lot. That's not taking anything away from Dominic Reyes. I think Dominic Reyes proves himself that he deserves to be in the same octagon with John Jones.
Yeah.
But if you asking me who won the fight, I'm gonna say John Jones. If you ask me who's the better fighter, like Slim, you ever seen the emoji with the OK sign, right?
Uh-huh.
It's still open ended, but you have to zoom in real quick.
Yeah.
That's how much better John Jones is to Dominic Reyes. So that's saying a lot. But there you go. That I believe that.
All right.
Immediate rematch is the solution.
Oh no, I think it's gonna happen.
This is the Sports Chat Podcast. My name is John Trapp. Khoa. This last quick take of the day. So what we got going on?
Yeah, well, we've been out for a minute, so I know we haven't had an episode in 2 weeks. So not only did the Super Bowl in 2 weeks ago, but it was also the end of Australian Open.
Yeah.
I had to bring that up, and it was a doozy, bro. It was so
Who the finalist was? Jokic and
yeah, on the men's side it was Novak Djokovic and Dominic Thiem.
I can't say his name to save my life.
Yeah, he was the fifth seed.
He's American?
No,
I thought he was
I'm trying to
American.
figure. No, he's Austrian. There you go.
Austrian.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out what flag that was. Austrian, and on the women's side it was Sophia Kenin, American.
Oh, that's who I was thinking about.
Yeah, who played against I'm gonna destroy this. Gerbani Muruguruza. Yeah.
Say that.
She
5
put
times fast.
Sophia Kenin, the American 14th seed, she pulled out in 3 sets. 4-6, 6-2,
I've never heard of a
6-2.
female pull out like that.
Oh God, come on, man. You sitting here, you can't be talking about misogynistic stuff.
Hey, man, you
can't.
said it.
Hey, you try to be better. But on the men's side, so Novak did end
5
up
sets, huh?
pulling away
Wow.
with it. But man, if you watch the match though, bro,
it was
Dominic Thiem gave him a fucking run for his money.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean he had him sweating, and all credits to Novak because he. Besides Nadal, man, I don't think there's the better fighter in tennis.
Like where they go back and forth.
No, in the sense that like he truly is like a gritty, like he.
See, when you say gritty though in tennis, to me, is like I think of Andre Agassi. Like Pete Sampras could get you on the aces. Pete Sampras can get you.
Yeah, he's a serve and volley king. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
But the volleys, like the back and forth, like who's gonna wear down first.
Yeah.
That's why I think of people that are gritty that may not be like beast when it comes to hitting it hard. And
see, that's the thing. Novak is both because he's got such an all around game. So the other one I compare it to, like I said, Rafa Nadal. Right? You look at Rafa Nadal's game. His game is much more. I wouldn't say he's a counter puncher necessarily, because Andre Agassi, when you brought up that he's a counter attacker.
The return is.
Woo. Yeah, he's got one of the best returns in all of tennis history. I think that's why him and Sampras were such
rivals,
good matchups. Because their games were on opposite ends of the spectrum.
Exactly.
Where Pete Sampras was such a serve and volley, and he was such an attacker. It was a huge serve, but his game more or less is very one-dimensional. Whereas Andre Agassi, you can call his game one-dimensional as well, but his game is to go against your game. So whatever you give it me, I'm just going to give it back to you.
Exactly.
So I think that's why they mash so well together. You look at someone like Nadal, not that he doesn't have big hits, because he definitely does, but he uses much more topspin, and he's just known as the guy that can just fucking get any ball.
Really?
Yeah, he's so athletically gifted that that's why he's so good on clay is his court, and clay is a very hard court. I mean, all courts are hard courts to play.
Isn't that Nadal's court though too? Like
no, that's what I'm saying. That's Nadal's court. That's right. He's king of the clay. That's what everyone calls him. But that's such a hard court to get to because the ball is slower and it's unpredictable bounce wise. But Nadal is so good on his feet and so quick that he can get so many balls, so much more. And that's why he is able to win so many matches. And just based off of that, being able to get that ball that you thought or that other person couldn't have gotten.
Right.
He's able to chase that down. So you look at someone like Djokovic. Djokovic is actually his play style is so big. He's got a huge serve, and his forearm.
He's tall, like his
forehand. Yeah, he's lanky. But his forehand and his backhand are both strong. His forehand is stupid strong, and that's really like his ground strokes is really where he shines. But he is also really good at the net. But also, I think proven more and more. And when I say a fighter, he's proven more and more clutch in big moments, and to be able to run down those tough shots. And I think that he proved that in this match. And where Tim was, I hadn't seen him play much. But when I say he was giving Djokovic a run for his money, he was giving just as big shots as Novak was. So it was really like a battle of giants back and forth. And he was making clutch shots and hitting aces and winners left and right. And it was just like, yeah, there were times where like Djokovic was just really like, fuck, I got to give it up to him. That was fucking crazy.
No shit.
But he outlasted him. And you could see Tim got a little tired towards the end. I mean, that's where, like I said, we talked about how
rounds, man.
We talked about how you look at like the elites in tennis. You look at the Federers and the Nadal and the Djokovic, and the gap between them and even the next players.
Right.
Where I think it's, even though they can give them a run for money, it's still so tough because they're there and they're at their point in their career and they're success for a reason.
Right.
Because they outlast the competition by any means necessary. And it really is like, think about a tennis tournament, compared to something like going to the Super Bowl or an NBA playoffs. The amount of games that they play, and it's just them.
Right, exactly.
And it's 3, 4, 5 hours
exactly
per match, and then the rest time that you get in between your next match is probably 3 or 4 days at the most.
Not at all.
At the most, I'm saying. Yeah, no,
it's 1 day off, 1 day on.
Yeah, even from like semifinal
from tournament to tournament.
No. From match to match. Yeah, you're right. He's
No,
barely
it's 1
coming
day
off.
Yeah.
But maybe from the semifinal to the final is where you get maybe the most.
Really?
2 days.
Really?
Maybe 2, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
So people forget about that. And it's like you get to the final and you expect them to give this championship caliber tennis. Which is you forget the amount of matches they played before that to get to that point. And so something's got to give.
You know,
right?
I didn't like Nadal's game per se. You know, I don't like the way he plays because it's not flashy. It's what it is him running down a lot of shots, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like if you were to put like a Fitbit on him, he ran twice as much as you did, right?
Yeah.
But where I have to give him credit is at some point you thought he'd fall off. At some point you thought he couldn't keep this pace up. And he's actually made a career out of it. So you got to give him props to being one. He's smaller than both Federer and Jokic. But
he's not smaller. He's a pretty big dude.
He looks like a pretty small dude compared to the two of them.
I think you may think that because of how much he moves, but he's actually he's slimmed down. But I remember back in the day, I mean, he was always known because he was always wear his fucking capris and his cut off sleeveless shirts. Yeah, he had big arms. But he's like, a bigger guy.
His stature, like he's shorter.
I think he's a little shorter, but I think he's still. I want to say he's a big guy,
right.
But I don't think he's as small as you think he is either.
I like Jokic's personality, and that's the thing that I think that tennis.
I like
misses.
all of theirs, man. There's honestly to me there's not a. I wouldn't even, say anybody that has a bad personality. The closest thing you can say to that is probably that's like of the elite. And we talked about it, who Federer or Nadal ended up beating, or was it Federer? Or was Nick Kyrgios when we talked about the Australian. But I don't even think he's not even I don't think he's a bad guy at all. I just think his antics on the court are like he kind of plays a heel. And he's like really like he's hands down the most entertaining player on the court.
Okay, so is it more a personality, or is it a lack of personality, or is it a lack of American that's not in the one of the best for tennis not to be as popular as it used to be?
Maybe a little bit of both. I mean, maybe as far as like the American market or like our American audience. Yeah. Since Andy Roddick, there hasn't been an elite American player on the men's side anyways. Of course, on the women's side, we've always had Venus and Serena.
Right.
And then you have like the Coco Gauff coming up and even someone like Naomi Osaka, who technically is Japanese. But I think she appeals a lot to the American public as well.
Right.
Yeah, but no, on the men's side, back then, you had Andy Roddick, James Blake.
See, but I think what we have now,
the Bryan brothers, that were dominant in doubles, but even they fell off, and now
So, but even now, I think these players are better than you have yesteryear. You know what I mean? Like, I think Federer is the greatest of all time, but you have Nadal who's outlasted basically everybody but Federer, and you have Jokic who basically came on at their halfway point in both of their career. Who's like on his way to catching up to both of them.
No,
so,
he is for sure, and it's weird because in my eyes, and maybe just because it's the timing of when he came in, but it's hard to put him in that conversation yet, even though he 100% is in the conversation of like list of GOATs for sure. But yeah, you because the numbers speak for themselves, and they're going to only add on to it. I mean, I don't know the exact count, but he's damn near close to where Federer and Nadal are, and nobody's discounting those guys because they're still in it to this day, which is crazy. But yeah, I don't know who the next star is. There's Dominic Thiem had a great showing, so I don't know who's gonna be.
What's the next tournament? That was Australian, right?
Yeah, Australian starts off the circuit.
You got Wimbledon, U.S. Open, and what is it? The
French Open.
French Open.
Mhm.
So what Roland Garros French?
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like because I think the U.S. Open and they end with the Wimbledon.
They end with U.S. Open.
Oh, okay. So then, yeah, because they from what I can remember, it's French Wimbledon then U.S. Open. Is that right?
I believe so. So I believe it goes on to Roland Garros, aka the French Open, and then into Wimbledon. Besides the Australian Open, I did want to mention one other thing. I don't know if you watch at all, if you care about it, but the Oscars just happened, and
I did. I watched it.
I typically don't watch award shows like that live anyway. And they're so political, and I think everybody knows that. But anyway, I think this was a huge deal. I don't know if you know, but the most winningest film of this year's Oscars was Parasite.
Now, have you seen it?
I actually haven't. So I know that I know once I talk about it, I'm gonna get a lot of flack from people because I actually have not.
I want to see it though. And that makes me
I
want to
see it
so bad.
I want to, and to be fair, I've known about it for a while, and
Really?
it's been on my list to watch for a while. And a good friend of mine who I trust in his taste of movies, when he saw it, he said it was easily the best movie of the year.
Really?
And
Well, obviously.
And I was already intrigued before that. People have told me like, yeah, you gotta watch it. But then when he said that, I was like, oh man, I really gotta watch it. And I still haven't seen it. So don't be mad at me, but it's on my list. I've already told people as much as you want to think that I'm like a film buff, I'm terrible at watching movies.
Yeah.
Just because I don't know, I don't have the time or the
Exactly,
attention
that's
span
the
to
thing.
sit here and just watch movies after movies after movies as much as I would love to. But anyway, Parasite nominated for 6 Oscars and won 4 of 6 Oscars,
What is
including
it? Best director?
best direction, best international
Okay.
film,
There was one
best
like screenplay.
best original screenplay,
Okay.
and
And
then
then
best picture.
Overall, yeah.
So that is the first non-English
Really? To
Film.
do all that. To clean
to
house,
win. No, well,
basically.
best picture specifically. The other
Oh,
ones,
okay.
the other ones, I'm sure there have been others, but best picture specifically, which is the most coveted award of all of Oscars. That's like the the big one.
Like, Picture of the year.
Yeah, which is insane. And this is, I think the Oscars is the last of the award season of the award shows because they already have like the SAG Awards,
Yeah,
the
for
Golden
sure.
Globes,
But
the
see, I don't-
Cannes Festival because it won the Palme d'Or, which is like the highest award there is at the Cannes Film Festival.
yeah?
It already won that. And that was back in like May 2019.
Okay.
Yeah, so I should have already known it. You know what I mean? And I was like, man, I feel bad. I haven't seen it yet. But shout out to
But I watched the trailer.
Bong Joon-ho. Yeah, huh?
I watched the trailer and it's so.
I don't even want to watch the trailer. I just want to watch it.
It you can't. Listen. The trailer shows you nothing, and
I
all
think
it
that's
says,
awesome.
Hold on, but the thing is, it's almost like a. The trailer makes it look like a rom-com or something, and all you hear in big letters is like, "You'll never believe the ending," or "You'll never believe what happens," or "You'll never believe."
So gimmicky.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
it's like what it made me think of, like midway, you think it's one movie and it just flips. Like it becomes.
I think that's what it is. Yeah.
from like a rom-com to a thriller like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you have no
That's,
idea.
I think that's how it's described. It's described as a comedic, like psychological thriller or something like that.
Really?
It's yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
all the
And
all
the-
the views and the
Mhm.
pictures. I want like at towards the flip, I guess if you want to call it, in the trailer. It's just weird. It's just like people are out of place. It's not where you usually see people
Mm-hmm.
on the film,
Yeah.
on the screen.
Yeah.
And like they have weird objects in front of them. Like it'll be, I don't know. I don't even know.
I
how
don't
to
know.
describe it.
I don't want to know too much about it. I think I've already read too much, but not really. I don't even really know what it's about, but I just want to watch it and just.
That's another thing. You have no idea after you see the
Yeah?
trailer. You have no idea what it's about.
Oh, okay.
Other
I
than
like that.
the,
I like
the
that.
build up.
You know what movie didn't do that? Which I guess they're notorious for, anyways. But after watching the new Fast and Furious trailer, have you seen that?
Seen the whole movie?
You basically see they show just about every goddamn stunt there is. I'm like, dude, like they put out all the tricks, and then like because the trailer is about like 3.5 minutes long, which is a damn long trailer.
Right.
So about a minute in, you're like, damn, that's a lot. They don't have to show more. They're not gonna show more. Oh, they're showing more. Oh, they're showing even more. Oh, and then not only that, but they show reveals
Oh, really?
of like
I
they
don't
show.
remember watching it.
And I was just like,
It's just
dude,
I
come
know
on.
it's like I know what it's about. I've seen the movie, obviously 8 times, or 9, including Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah. It's just. But anyway, I'm still gonna watch it.
You know what? You know what? I'm more excited about Fast and Furious 10. Like the 9 is just to get to 10.
Yeah, but you got to get through 9 first. So.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Like, okay,
yeah.
I gotta watch it just to see, because I'm excited.
I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
Do I think they're all good movies? No, but they're hella entertaining. They're a big part of my childhood and my growing up. So
Now let's big up the Parasite. I'm about to, like, I promise you, when like a couple seconds after we finish up here, I'm about to put this bad boy on stream.
oh man, I would love to.
Parasite.
I'm gonna fall asleep if I watch it tonight, but I want to be fully awake and aware when I watch it.
Never finish a movie like that. I got 2 kids, man. I never finish and watch. I always have to break it up within 3 segments or something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
see, I gotta
I'm
watch
about
that.
to pass out the Parasite.
I'm excited. Yeah. No, there are some other good. And to be fair, out of all the movies that like won the awards, it made me realize that how much of a shitty moviegoer I am in general. Because I done damn near seen any other movie that was like really nominated except for one. It was Joker. I saw Joker.
So
but then the other one I really want to see that even since it came out, I talked about it a lot too, was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh, really? I saw
Quentin
that one.
Tarantino.
Yeah.
Man.
I mean, I think you'll like it, but
Brad Pitt won Best Supporting Actor with that.
I think it's
Man?
more.
Man?
No, it's a Lifetime Achievement Award. I've seen him do better in different movies, and that's not saying anything. I'm not taking away anything from his catalog.
Yeah.
And he deserves everything he gets. Trust me. But honestly, I felt the same way with Denzel Washington. Training Day wasn't his best movie, but it's a Lifetime Achievement Award. We'll give it to him.
Yeah, but those are 2 completely different points in their career too.
What do you mean?
I mean, that wasn't the amount. When was Training Day? 96, 97?
But what I'm saying is, like, the content that they put out is damn near the same, and you've seen better movies. And not only that, he's acted better. No offense, I'm not saying again. I'm not trying to be
No. I know.
the person that disagrees with this, but I'm just
saying. Which is why I think everybody knows something like those award shows in general, but specifically like the Oscars and the Grammys or whatever. They're just political, man.
Now the Joaquin Phoenix deserves it, like 100%. But I could see other actors. Sometimes it's a time period. Sometimes it's a year that you come out with these movies. Like, for example, Adam Sandler transformed himself to play the dude in Uncut Gems, right?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't get nominated, but I think he's one of the best actors of the year.
Yeah.
Leonardo DiCaprio deserved to be in that list. Maybe another year he would have won it, maybe not. But Joaquin Phoenix, 100% deserved that award. Now I just want to see more movies. Like I want to see what Parasite was all about. I want to see.
You see The Irishman?
Yeah.
I haven't seen that either. It's like 3 hours long, huh?
See, man, I want to. I could go into another whole different spiel about the Irishman, but I'll say this: sometimes when just the dialogue is all you need for the action, in that movie, that's. You ever seen Quiet Place? The Quiet Place?
Oh, I haven't seen that. No.
Oh wow!
See, I personally have a thing against horror films.
What?
I'm just not a fan.
What?
I really am not.
Okay, so you know what? I don't like horror films because I think at this point it's more about the shock value and the gore, right?
Is that one more of a psychological thriller?
Hell yeah.
Okay.
This is The Quiet Place is by far the best scary movie I've seen in a decade, and it's not even close.
Really?
Like, name another one off the top of your head.
Would you consider Get Out a horror film?
Get Out was not a horror film, but if within the past like year or two, I'll give it a second.
And then what about it's not a sequel. I don't think it's a sequel, but Us, which is also made by Jordan Peele. And the way Jordan Peele described it, he described Get Out as a documentary, and then he described Us as a horror film. From his words. I was like, oh wow.
Damn,
that makes it
documentary. That's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, yo. We gotta wrap this one up. That was I like that little Oscar talk, man. We finally got a little bit of sports because we do. I've had a couple people tell us we talk too much sports, but that's what we do, man. That's what we do. Again,
I'm sorry. What was the name of our podcast?
All right, the Sports Trapp Podcast, representing H-Town, John Trapp, Mr. Khoa. So yeah, man. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Be sure to subscribe and share. Hit the notification. I don't know which side it's on most of the time, like the bell. Like what?
Right? Down here.
Okay, down here. Down there. Yeah.
Hit the bell.
Thank you so much. I'm out. Peace.
Yeah.